I just had a question. Like, I know you talked a lot about like your faith kind of driving your politics and how important that is to you. And I think when I look at the scriptures and like Jesus in particular, I think there's a lot of admirable things about what Jesus talks about. Caring for the poor, trying to heal the sick and things like that. I was just curious, like for your faith and political beliefs, like how does that reconcile? Like I feel like taking away and like advocating for reducing welfare and advocating for kids not having free and reduced lunches and not wanting to expand that program, that kind of seems antithetical to the whole message of Jesus, in my opinion.
Yeah, so you're, fine, fair enough. You're ascribing an intent with our public policy position. Let me be clear. Welfare should be a hand up. It should be a safety net, not a hammock, is the best way I could possibly put it. But I understand the scriptures equally say, if a man does not work, he shall not eat, repeatedly. Paul says it said throughout Proverbs. But I guess the question, we both want to help people, right? Yeah. What is the best way to help people? So we have a case study over 60 years. Is it good for people to be permanently on government assistance? No, it's not. It's really bad. It's bad for them, it's bad for their families, bad for their psyche, bad for their soul, bad for everyone. So then what is the solution? And we have to ask the question, like, has welfare, since we've started this project in the 60s, good intentions, made us a better country? It really hasn't, actually. So number one, I think a vast majority of what the state does, not the state of Texas, but the state, should and can be done by churches and local municipalities. I fully agree that we should help help anyone that's in need. But the first cause to do that should be private charities and churches, not the government. We should not outsource our compassion to the federal government. It should be first and foremost the local church.
And secondly, would you say that the church should do more than they currently do?
Say that again. I can't hear what you're saying.
Would you call for the church to do more than they currently do?
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Okay.
But this is what's important. The church does less as the state does more. We see this in Europe. Europe basically has shrunk the church where it is just a husk of its former self, and it's basically do a couple services and to do almost very little charity. And the reason being is because the government is so big, and they'll just say, oh, the government will provide the health care and the government will provide this and that. So the church doesn't feel compelled to do that. Said differently, the bigger the government, the smaller the church. So when you grow government, your church becomes small. We want a big church and a small government. We want the church to be more involved, more active. And so if I were just, and I think we both want to help people, so hypothetically, would I rather have somebody go to a church to go get fed or rather get food stamps? 10 out of 10 times to a church. More human connection, they might get saved in the process, it's better for the church, it's better for everybody than just a faceless EBT card that, quite honestly, is nothing more than just a digital transaction.
So I think both of us would agree that the churches should do more to help those in need. Can I ask one more thing?
Sure.
I want to say, I feel like someone embodying Christ and a leader is important. So as far as Donald Trump, what Christ-like characteristics do you feel like he embodies? I feel like oftentimes he uses hateful rhetoric or kind of, the Bible talks about the meek shall inherit the earth. I don't really see a lot of meekness in his character. Do you agree with that, or is there anything?
If we're saying that, is Donald Trump humble? No.
But we're honest here, yeah.
I mean, but I also will say, so I'm going to put this on you for a second. Can you think of anything admirable or Christ-like that he's embodied?
I mean, I guess you could say he's bold.
There you go. That's good.
I think that's a fair thing.
He's definitely bold.
He's a bold person.
I would say he's courageous. I would say that he's a truth teller.
I don't know if I agree with the truth teller part, but he is a bold person.
Remember, they get mad at Trump not because of the lies, it's because of the truth that he tells, but they get really, really mad. Remember, we don't have to debate that. But that's not where this conversation is going. I don't want to derail it. But Trump showed courage under fire, literally, in a very miraculous way. I will say this, though. We all fall short of the glory of God. When we try to elect political leaders, you're not trying to have a church elder board elected. You want to be president of the United States. Are there examples of people in the scriptures that might be a little rough around the edges, that might be, let's just say, a little bit difficult to understand, that were also considered holy or good or faithful? Well, one I would posit to you is a man who made the Hall of Faith in the book of Hebrews, is a guy who also had great hair, Samson. Donald Trump and Samson, both great hair. Samson was literally in a prostitute's bed when the Spirit of the Lord came upon him and told him to basically go to war for the people of Israel because they were not willing to fight for themselves. Took a jaw of a donkey and go and killed a bunch of Philistines. And what Samson was, he was ready, he was willing, he was able. So look, of course, Donald Trump has faults, I have faults. But I will say this, that to have a president that does things in advancement of our value system, not just says things, I would consider be far better for those of us as Christians than, and I'm going to make some enemies here, than somebody like George W. Bush, who said all the right stuff, but he never spoke at the March for Life, and gave us questionable Supreme Court justices, and gave us, unfortunately, a very reckless foreign war in Iraq that caused a lot of unjust human suffering. So the question is, and it's something to think about, would you rather, let's say it's George W. Bush or Donald Trump. George W. Bush says the right stuff, he's more Christ-like in that presentation way, but how he governed was actually, I would say, oppositional to what I would want to see.
I guess I just also put a lot of value on the way that you present things and the way that you make people feel with the words you say, and like speaking, like words, the Bible talks about like speaking life with your words, and I feel like Donald Trump often does not speak life with his words. And I get your point, like it's all about action, like actions speak louder than words.
Words matter, but I think actions matter more.
Words isn't biblical, which kind of is that doesn't represent what you feel like morality and the way that country should be dictated.
Well, let's play that out. So it's actually both. So what did Christ say were the two commandments, the two teachings that of all the cult teachings matter? They were actually action related. Love your neighbor as yourself, and love the Lord your God with their heart, soul, strength, and mind. Those are both action related. And so, do words matter? Of course words matter. But I would argue the Bible actually does have a heavy emphasis on action, on doing good and helping the poor and healing the sick, not just words. Words do matter, I totally agree. But words without action, or words given more preference than action, I actually don't necessarily think is biblical.
Okay, I understand that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much.